Ah, that's better. I've been meaning to oil this gate for a long time. It's been so darn squeaky. A little oil goes a long, long way. Oil has a lot of uses, many uses far beyond the scope of this video. But I wanted to talk to you today about oiling your cutting boards. It's another thing that we go eons without doing, but we should do it more often. We're going to talk about oiling cutting boards. I'll show you how to do it. And we're going to talk about the difference between quarter sawn and in-grain cutting boards. Flat sawn, quarter sawn. We're going to talk about that more. In fact, today's video is all about cutting boards. Let's go into my kitchen. So this is my kitchen, such as it is. Welcome to the Steinberg household. I've got two different types of cutting boards here. One of them is an in-grain cutting board. This is a good example of my in-grain cutting board. It's, as you can see, well used, and I haven't oiled this on purpose so that I can show you what it looks like when it really needs to be oiled. I mean, this is pretty bad. I normally oil this quite a bit. We do carry these in our store, bcknife.com, or go to Bear Claw in Midland, and you can often get these. We have a lot of other boards too if we're out of these. This is my board, and this is what we're going to oil today. This is in-grain. This is quarter sawn, okay? Quarter sawn blade. Or what you might call this, instead of quarter sawn, is a flat sawn. Some people call this flat sawn. The quarter sawn, sawn. Why am I saying sawn? Sawed, quarter sawed, which means it's the way that they cut the actual wood. The grains, the fibers in this go this direction, right here. They grow in this direction. So when you cut on this board, you're cutting across this board. Let me show you. As the grains are going across, when you cut across this, you're cutting across the fibers. Now, if it's a carving board, for instance, you're just going to be carving turkeys or brisket or something on these, then it's not as big a deal. You know, you're just using it as a carving board. You're not using it for heavy knife work, and that's fine for this. These are a little more affordable, and they're beautiful boards, without a doubt, and they're great boards. But if you're going to be cutting and doing a lot of knife work, say with a chef's knife, you're going to be mincing and dicing and doing julienne cuts. All your work on here is going to be done on this board, all the heavy knife work. Then you want an in-grain board. This may be a little easier to see on this board. You see all these little squares that you see here? They're all glued together. And the tree actually grows in this direction. So as you're cutting on this board, you're cutting with the fibers. It feels better under the knife. The board itself feels much better, it lasts a lot longer, and it's just a better board to do heavy knife work with. You can also use these for cutting boards, or for carving boards. You can use carving boards for all your knife work. There's no hard and fast rules. As long as it's wood, it works just fine. But in-grain cutting boards like this, you want to see something like that, or like the in-grain in this. You can see this through all the cuts and everything I have in here. Then this is what you really want for a truly long-lasting, great cutting board for doing a lot of heavy knife work. Get something like this. This is another board that I have here. This is a charcuterie board. This is more for display, but same idea. It's quarter sawn or flat sawn. The grains, the fibers go this way. And if you use this for everyday cutting tasks, mincing and dicing and so forth, this would show a lot more wear more quickly. All right, so this one needs to be oiled up. We just so happen to have some oil right here. This oil I actually sell in the store, and along with other types of oil as well. Now, most of this oil for cutting boards, it's mineral oil. Now, you gotta be careful of what oil you use. Yes, I know Grandpa used to use olive oil, and Great-Grandpa used to use motor oil. That's all fine. Use what you wanna use. I'm not the oil police, but if you're going to oil your cutting board, why not just get some inexpensive board oil? This is meant for cutting boards. It's mineral oil. It's meant to do that. And it's not so expensive that you can't just buy this, either from us or from anyone else. I don't care where you buy it from. Well, I do. I'd rather you buy it from us. But still, buy some oil for cutting boards. This is a mineral oil, and it's really easy to use. A lot of people ask me about this. It is just as easy as it sounds. Take some oil, throw it on there, be generous, and then just rub it around. Probably need a little more. It's going to soak this up a lot because I haven't oiled it in quite a while. Go to all four corners. Make sure it's nice and even as it soaks it up. Try and cover that area again. And you're going to leave it a little bit pooly kind of on the top. It's going to be a little bit thick on the top. Let it soak it in. Now, you don't want to get crazy with this stuff, right? Let's not get too crazy. Make sure it's on pretty heavy. Again, you want to be generous with this. And then once you get a good coat on, let it set for about 5 minutes or so. And then you want to come back and wipe off the excess. We'll be back in 5 minutes.
5 minutes later.
All right, it's been 5 minutes. See, it's taken up, pulled in all the oil that it wants. We're going to just take off the excess. And we're going to just come across like this with a fresh paper towel and just take off the excess oil. If it looks like it needs to be done again, just oil it. Just do it. You can't really over oil, but you just don't want to leave a lot of oil sitting on the surface. All right, you see the difference in the way that looks? Much better, much, much better. Now this will help from keeping it from cracking and having problems with it. If you don't oil it, you will get cracks in it. A few more things with these boards is you don't want to leave them in the dishwasher. Don't put them in the dishwasher. They'll fall apart like nobody's business. Anytime I see a board come in pieces, I know that someone has put it in the dishwasher, and that hot water and getting it so wet, it'll just ruin it. Also, don't leave it in the sink. Don't leave it in water. I mean, I know that makes sense, but some people don't know. So don't leave it in water. All you have to do is wipe a board like this off with a cloth that has a little of your dish soap on it. And I usually keep some dish soap in the sink while I'm cooking, so I just wring it out real good, wipe off all the food and stuff on there. Wood is actually safer than plastic. It's certainly better on the knives than plastic is, especially other materials like glass and so forth. There's been some studies done regarding the safety of wood boards. It was assumed for the longest time that wood was not as safe as the plastic or other cutting boards because of bacteria. But what they found is each time they introduced bacteria to the surface of a wood board, it would pull the bacteria in, and they think it's the enzymes that kill the bacteria on the board. So they would come back the next day and there'd be no bacteria left on the board. Now they do the same thing with a plastic board, and of course on plastic, nothing's going to kill the bacteria, it would just grow. So wood board is actually safer than plastic. If you don't believe me, put a comment down below. Meanwhile, while you're down there, hit the thumbs up for me and subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified as to other videos that we do. And by all means, get yourself a great cutting board. You know, a wood cutting board will last you a long, long time, years and years. I grew up in New England, I grew up in Connecticut, and there's some great delis up there in New England, Connecticut, New York, all over that area, Massachusetts, that old delis, 100-plus-year-old delis, that use a board, actually a butcher block. There's usually a butcher block in the back. That's been used for literally 100 years. And it's kind of cut up and it's kind of a mess, but you know what? They're still using that board. It's still a good butcher block, and it's wood. And I would highly recommend wood cutting boards for your kitchen. They're beautiful, they feel great under the knife, and why not? Come on down to Bear Claw, pick yourself out a good wood cutting board, or see us at bcknife.com. And meanwhile, give us a thumbs up. Anything else? Leave a comment for me. That's it for today. Till next time.